Dear racing fans, we've been waiting for you. We've been working, prepping, training, putting together thrilling races, high stakes, favorite traditions, and fresh experiences. From right on the rail to the top of the hill. Whether it's your first meet or your 50th, we can't wait to welcome you back this fall. Love, Keeneland.
And how do you do? It is Thursday night as we get ready for the Keeneland look ahead for Friday, day 11 of 17, October 17th. The 10 race card got a little more exciting after the chaos that was Keeneland today in the early pick five. Nobody hit the pick five in the early going. Nobody got really close, to be honest with you, after huge prices, 8-1, 44-1, 12-1, 7-2. We got that one. And then the 9-1 to close it out. Pick five today paid on 4 of 5, which means the carryover, $249,893, $250,000 essentially in the early pick five. That'll start with race number 1 on the Friday card. So that really juices things up here as we get into the weekend. Week 3 of the Keeneland meet, as we've been telling you over the past couple nights, if you've been following this podcast each night, we thought there'd be more long shots in week 3. Statistically, that was so. About 13% of the races week 3 in recent years were horses 10-1 or more. That normal numbers are about 9%. So a rather large increase in number of horses 10-1 or more expected this week. We had a big price, one of them on the Wednesday card. Now today, again, a couple big ones, 44-1, a 12-1 through there. So this is kind of a bit expected. Now you just got to figure out which one is going to be the one that boosts your payoff and gets you home in the pick five here on the Friday card. Pick five for Friday is going to be 8 by 8 by 9 by 10 by 12 in terms of field sizes. So pre-scratches, there's at least 8 in each of the fields. Total number of combinations, 69,112. Doesn't sound so hard, does it? Let's see what we can do taking down that pick five on Friday. As for the pace, horses went to the lead and had a lot of success on the Wednesday card. Not quite as much today, but we did have 2 front-running winners on the main track. Both were heavily favored maidens who went on to victory after opening up. So I don't think the track was quite as speedy and speed favoring today as perhaps it was on Wednesday. We'll see how it plays as we get into this Friday card. Had a nice winner, Floodlights today at $9, key to $122 exacta cold for us today in race number 4. So one of our key plays on the card got in. We've got back-to-back ones of those from the end of yesterday into today. So that was good to see. 9 different trainers won the 9 races today. 9 different jockeys won the 9 races. Nobody hot necessarily going into the Friday card. Winning trainers today included the big 3 really that you expect to win races here at Keeneland. Brad Cox, Brendan Walsh, Wesley Ward. All 3 of them picked up single victories on this Thursday card. So we go to Friday, day 11. Let's set up the snapshot of the card for you and get set for handicapping this 10-race program. Again, $249,000 carryover in the early pick 5. That's going to get underway in race number 1. No overlap in the pick 4s or pick 5s on a 10-race program, so that early pick 5 will be races 1 through 5. Race number 2 is going to get us going. Race number 2 is pick 4 starting in that race. I've got a misnomer of a key play there in race 2. That's going to be races 3, 7, or 3, 9, and 10 are going to be my key plays there. Race number 2, of course, we'll give you our analysis of that one. 3, 9, and 10 are the ones I'm focusing in on as my key plays on the card. Keeneland Turf Pick 3 is back. We haven't had that the past 2 days, so 3 turf races scheduled. Races 4, 7, and 9. Hope you like turf sprints if you're playing the Turf Pick 3. Certainly, that is the flavor of the day, the turf sprints 4, 7, and 9. The Pick 6, race number 5, that will get started. We'll get the late Pick 5 going in the 6th. Final Pick 4 on the card, races 7 through 10, and then Toyota Super High 5 wraps it all up in the 10th and final race. All right, let's get handicapping on this card. Again, if you're playing a pick 5, if you're not normally a pick 5 player, maybe you're not diving into this 50-cent minimum wager on a pick 5. Keep in mind with, a pick 5, if you have a horse or 2 that you like and you can single in a few spots, it doesn't get all that expensive to be putting a ticket together. I know with the pick 6 carryovers and the dollar minimum, that runs a lot of people out in terms of budget, but a pick 5 with a carryover like this, even if you're not a pick 5 player, you ought to give a lot of consideration to it because as we've talked about before, this is dead money in the pool, $250,000 worth that can't beat you. All it can do is make your payout more. It's going to increase, guaranteed. It's going to increase the payout because all the winners are going to divide up not only what's bet pari-mutually on Friday, but also that $250,000 gets added back in, and that just lifts the prices on all of the returns. So there's nothing, there's no reason to stay away from this pick 5, other than maybe you can't come up with some opinions and you really just don't have a strong look at these races. Then by all means, you don't want to be throwing money, against the wind. But at the same time, if you're going to play this Friday card, certainly the best value bet on this card will be to play that early pick 5 based on the fact that you've got that carryover money. So always put your money in the place where it can do the best work for you. And certainly on this card, even if you're not a pick 5 player, I think you want to consider that. All right, so how are we going to handicap it? Who are we taking in these races? Let's start things off by going to the handicapper selectors box. You can get this at Keeneland.com. And as you'll see in the opener, we've got probably the heaviest favorite in the early pick 5, number 8, Our Shenanigans, 6-5 morning liner, dropping in class for trainer Brad Cox by Practical Joke. She's a filly who should like it over this racetrack at Keeneland on pedigree, and she's been here before and ran a really good second in a similar kind of race, going 6 furlongs back in the fall meet, just missed by a head. Now, we haven't seen her since January. She's coming off a long layoff, but 3/4 of a mile, not that difficult of a distance off the break. You get Irad Ortiz on the outside. Our Shenanigan, top pick by all 4 handicappers. Look, if there was something great to kind of hug and embrace with some of the others in here, maybe you try to beat the horse coming off the long layoff. As for the others in this particular spot, I think the 7 Perfect Union deserves a little bit of a look. This is a horse making a turf to dirt switch. Does have a bullet workout over the main track here at Keeneland. Hasn't run on the dirt, but by Tiz the Law, a Belmont Stakes winner back in the year when the Belmont was at 1 1/8 that year. Perfect Union should be bred to handle the dirt just fine out of a Ghost Sapper mare. So we'll see. That is one, I think, at 6-1 that you might consider in there if you want to go deeper than the favorite. The 5 Nana Grace is coming out of longer races, cutting back in distance. Tom Amos did win the finale on the card, I believe, today with the big heavy favorite, Golden Irish. So Amos looking to kind of continue a decent little run for him. I believe that was his first win of the meet. Nana Grace, though, again, the 6 furlongs is going to be the question. Can Nana Grace get there over the trip? If the track's, playing the speed, then obviously it gets much tougher for Nana Grace. If the track's not lending itself to speed, then obviously the Nana Grace might be more suited. But I would think Our Shenanigans will be in front of Nana Grace throughout the running, and the 5 is going to have to run by the 8 in order to get the victory. I think the 7 Perfect Union coming off the turf race is probably the most likely other one to consider. And number 1, Army Nurse, good trainer here, Brian Lynch. He doesn't go great with first-time starters, but debut maiden claimers, he's 3 for 9, which isn't too bad. And a bullet workout half mile from the gate here at Keeneland, October 3rd for Army Nurse. The Army Mules run really well early in their careers, so I wouldn't be surprised if Army Nurse can run a little bit. They spent $220,000 on this one as a yearling, so the one you might want to consider in there. 8-7-5-1 as you're looking at potential players in this spot. You could single or you could spread a little bit. I think the public in general would like to single as much as they can when you got a 6-5 favorite. But a lot of people, as we talked last night, the psychology is kind of to get through a leg a lot of times. So there will be some people who won't single this favorite here in race number 1 because they want to try to stay alive and don't want their ticket knocked out after the first leg. But as we talked about in previous carryover days here and on the podcast, try to get yourself out of that mindset, right? A losing ticket's a losing ticket. Doesn't matter if you bust in the first leg or the fourth leg or the last leg of a pick 6. It's, 5 out of 6 is still 5 out of 6 no matter where you bust out. And then this pick 5, it's going to be the same way in 5 races. So if you think the 8 is definitely the horse to beat in here, you want to single. If people are using other horses kind of just psychologically, defensively, that's your benefit, because then if you are single to Our Shenanigan, you might actually get a little bit more than maybe that 6-5 price looks like, because other people are using other horses in there. And of course, the losing tickets are going to pay the winning tickets. So I kind of think the value play, even though it is a 6-5 shot, I think you're going to get a little value in by singling here. Maybe you'll make the horse play a little bit more like a 9-5 or maybe a 2-1 versus a big, heavy 6-5 kind of favorite by singling, since it is the first leg. If it was the last leg, everybody and their mother would be singling a 6-5 shot because they'll just hope to get there. But again, with the first leg, there will be people who don't want to bust out. Let's go to the second race here and see what we can do in leg 2 of the early pick 4. Again, a little typo here. I apologize for that. This is not one of the key plays on the card. I've got number 4, Shifty's Haloid, in the top spot in this race. I think the horse can get a pretty good trip starting the early pick 4, but I think this is a race where you want to get a little bit of coverage. So race number 2, I've got the 4 on top. Iron sharpens iron, the 7-5 morning line favorite, pick second in here. Number 2, Magic Mover, also one that I think worth considering. I got the 3 and the 8 in the discussion as well. So I've got as many as 5 in here, 4, 1, 2, 3, 8 that I all think could be useful to use on a ticket. This is a 1 1/8 claimer, dual condition claimers in here. They're all non-winners of 3 lifetime. Some are 3-year-olds going against elders. They'll get a 4-pound weight break. Not that big of a deal over 9 panels, but it helps a little bit for some of these 3-year-olds. Iron sharpens iron, 7-5 on the class drop, has never been below the 50,000 claiming level. Now in for 20 in this non-winner of 3 for Kenny McPeak. 2 for 10 lifetime for this one. Irad Ortiz rides. Not a lot of pace with this horse. Is going to have to pass some. Did break the maiden over the track here at Keeneland, so that never hurts, having a win over the track. That was at 6 furlongs, now going the 9 furlong distance. Stretched out last time to 9 furlongs and didn't show anything at all in a starter allowance. I mean, like, there's not much in this race, and I think there's a myriad of ways that you could go with horses that kind of look alike. I wouldn't settle on the 7 or the 1 Iron sharpens iron here at 7-5. Certainly, you could use the horse, but I would not play this horse in any kind of solo feel whatsoever. The 4 Shifty's Haloid is a horse who Robertino Diodoro trains, a high percentage trainer. We don't see him run a whole lot here at Keeneland, but Midwest and the South, he runs up the numbers big time. Oaklawn, Remington, Turf Paradise. We see Diodoro put up some big percentages. This horse has run over the track at Keeneland, ran for a similar 30,000 starter, non-3 in the fall, 4th in there, beaten 7, kind of didn't show a whole lot over the track. But again, there's not much in here. And I think in terms of pace, the 2 Magic Movers got some speed in here. The 6, It's in My Blood, has some speed. And I kind of think those 2 are going to go out. I think the 2-6 go out in here and put up a reasonable pace. The 4 might just sit third. And I think you might be looking at a perfect trip. So this is more like a speculation on who's going to get the best trip here at a 1 1/8. And that's why I went with the 4 on top. Kept the 2 in the number there to hold on for a piece. 4, 1, 2, 3, 8. I don't have a lot of great opinion in this race at all in race number 2. Fortunately, we feel better about the 3rd on the card, so we'll move on to that one. Race number 3 is our first key play of the day. Again, correction to the graphic there. First key play of the day comes up in race number 3. And one of the reasons I like this race and this play, it's a first-time starter. It's going to be number 3, Classy Beach in here. And I like a lot about Classy Beach. By Omaha Beach, Eddie Keneally does well with his firsters here at Keeneland. The Omaha Beach is winning a really high percentage here over the main track. Pedigree to like it. Bullet workout at Churchill, 1/2 and 47. This is a 3-year-old filly in the career debut. So you got elders who've kind of like the elder experience horses. You kind of seen what they can do. I think Classy Beach debuting here at 7 furlongs catches a really interesting spot because a lot of these horses are coming out of the same race. It's September 19th at Churchill, race number 3. The 2, 3, 4 finishers are all back in that race. The race was won by a horse who was 22-1 and a horse who was unplaced for 30,000 maiden claiming in their debut at Ellis. So they didn't get beat by much. And that's why I'm looking at it as, okay, we've got horses in here out of that race at Churchill, all out of the same race. They ran 2nd, 3rd, 4th. Those might be the contenders on paper because of the horses who've run. They have the best placings. But the horse who won that race was not much. Again, a horse who was off the board in the career debut at Ellis for 30,000 maiden claiming and was a 22-1 shot in that race. Didn't get beat by much that day. Won't take much to beat him again this day. And that's why I'm looking at that. A lot of those horses coming out of the same race. The 2, Scooch Over, who's 3-1, comes out of that race. The 7, Plaza Q, who's 7-5, comes out of that race. And the 9, Senora de Oro, also comes out of that race. And so 2, 3, 4 finishers, I'm not going to look at those. I'm going to look at some of the others in here. Give me the 3, Classy Beach on top. Number 6, Glamorama is going to be my second choice in here, but I like the 3 in here as the first-time starter, one of my key plays starting things off. 6, Glamorama, top choice for Tom. That's going to be my second play in here. Also, it's March, but a bullet workout for Rusty Arnold for the comeback. Philly by Justify gets Tyler Gaffalione. 3-6, the way I'm going to line it up. And I'm going to try to beat all of those horses coming out of that same September 19th race at Churchill Downs. So 2 deep at most in the multi-race wagers in this particular spot. A gutsy single if you're in on the first-time starter here, a classy beat. So 3-6, the way I'm going to attack this race, certainly intra-race. And from a multi-race standpoint, I'll try to go 2 deep in here and use Glamorama as well. But classy beach is definitely the one I want most of my tickets going on, especially intra-race as I'm playing race number 3. To the 4th we go. The Keeneland Turf Pick 3 is back after a couple-day hiatus. Didn't have enough turf races for it on Wednesday and Thursday. We've got 3 of them for you on this card for Friday. So only a field of 10 allowed in this race. You'll see kind of an oddity where the 11's listed as an also eligible. That tells you that the turf rail is going to be out. The temporary rail will be out on the turf course. Anytime they don't let the full capacity of 12, when they're down on the hedge, as they call it, if they're using the far inside railing, then they'll allow 12 horses in the turf races. But here at Keeneland, when the rail comes out, you're going to start to limit the field size to 10. At some tracks, you'll see when the rail's really out, they'll limit the field size to 8. You see that in Southern California a lot of times at Del Mar. But so in this race, that's why there's a field of 10 where the 11 isn't also eligible. Only 10 will start in here. Kilby Girl, certainly one you would respect if able to draw in the field, the 11. It's Wesley Ward. You got Victor Espinoza riding. But Bullet Working, first time starting Gunrunner filly. For Wesley Ward, the king of the turf sprints here and the king of the 2-year-olds. You certainly respect the 11 if this one happens to draw into the field. Now, we'll wait for scratches and changes to include that one in the analysis. But for me, in race number 4, I'm going to go in here with number 8, Beach Heist. We got Classy Beach in the 3rd and Beach Heist in the 4th. Beach Heist is a first-time starter. Elliott Walden does really well with the 2-year-olds he brings here in fall meets. Omaha Beach, another sire who can get a winner for us. 5.5 on the turf here. This horse has been training on the synthetic, should handle any kind of footing off the synthetic works at Turfway Park. Has been training really well there. This is one where I think we can get maybe a little bit better price with Nick Juarez as the listed jockey, but Juarez a more than capable rider. Doesn't get a lot of mounts here at Keeneland, but I've got the 8 on top in this spot, first-time starter. Number 3, Defina, another first-time starter that I'm going to use in the 2nd slot by Mendelssohn. Mendelssohn, the sire, gets a really nice percentage of winners here on the Keeneland turf. Good turf sire. We don't have a lot of turf sires where you kind of get the numbers, the successful numbers. They kind of trade punches here on the Keeneland turf. But Mendelssohn is one who does have some good numbers with the turfers. So number 3, Defina, I think, for trainer Kevin Attard, who's Woodbine's leading trainer. And Kevin Attard is going to bring this one down here to run for $110,000. I think that's pretty significant in here that he's willing to come down to Keeneland and run for the money. So give me Defina in there as well under Frankie Dettori. I think this is a horse who could be ready to go first time out of the box. 8-3, and then the 2, Lion Lake, is the first of the experienced horses, the one that I want to look at mostly. Brendan Walsh trains again. Walsh with another win today. He's off to a great start at the meet here. Now as we hit past the halfway point, he's got a shot to win another training title. Of course, he tied for the training title during the spring meet with Brad Cox. Tyler Gaffleone rides for Walsh. Always a strong combination, especially here at Keeneland. Lion Lake certainly to be respected. 8, 3, and 2, the way I've got it. The 7, Miss Soothsayer, maybe one to consider in here as well. Sire War of Will was a grade 1 winner going a mile here over the turf at Keeneland. Also the Preakness winner, if you remember that. Very versatile sort. Miss Soothsayer comes off a couple good races. Won at Gulfstream on the synthetic, and then last time out at Kentucky Downs, a 4th place finish. So 7 certainly could be a factor in here as well. 8, 3, 2, and 7, the way I'm lining them up and considering them for the multi-race wagers in this particular spot. Cardiff Reef, the 4, is the top choice in here for Scott coming off the race at Horseshoe Indianapolis. Maybe you can get a little bit better feel on why Scott's on the 4 in this spot by watching today at Keeneland tomorrow, 11:30 a.m. Eastern. He'll have the preview of the card. They'll have Tom Leach's long shot play of the day, Clocker report, all that. So be sure to check that out on the Keeneland simulcast feed every day at 11:30 of race day. So Cardiff Reef, top choice in there for Scott. But I'm going to try to get by 8, 3, 2, and 7, the way I've got them in race number 4. Switching things up here as we go to the 5th race on the card. The pick 6 is going to begin in this one. Non-winners of 2 lifetime claimer going 6 furlongs. We're going to repeat that also in race number 6. So races 5 and 6 got the same kind of condition going in here over the same kind of trip. Pick 6 will begin with a field of 12 as we roll through the final leg of the early pick 5. If you're going to take down that big $250,000 carryover, you'll need to get through this leg. Number 11, Atlantic Passage, 10-1 in the morning line. My top choice in here. Of the trainers on week 3 that we've been kind of eyeballing throughout this week, we told you about Mike Maker does well week 3 here at the Keeneland meet. Of course, the big trainers do their damage as well. We've seen some success by Norm Cassie over the years on week 3, and Rudy Brisset as well. Brisset's got the 11 in here, Atlantic Passage. Jose Ortiz is going to ride. This horse broke the maiden in a maiden special at Horseshoe, Indianapolis. This is a non-winner of 2 lifetime. A lot of these horses did break their maidens for maiden specials, but there's also quite a few maiden claiming graduates out of here. I don't think Maiden Passage has the best maiden win, but I think Brisset places them well here and waited for a little bit later in the meet. Dropped in for a claimer in this particular spot, and this horse did win over the main track, albeit a sloppy track, in the first career start, then tried to turf in a couple. So class drop back to a preferred surface, a barn that does well and saves horses for later in the meet. Give me the 11 in here, Atlantic Passage at 10-1 are going to be my top play. The 7 in here, Mayala, if I'm pronouncing that right, the 7, Tyler Gaffleone riding here for Greg Foley. This is another one who takes the drop-in class, maybe the best maiden win or among the best maiden wins in this field for sure, winning the maiden special weight down at Fairgrounds on the turf. This horse has not been to the main track since March of last year when running in maiden company at Fairgrounds and running 3rd in March of 2024. But the return back to the dirt, certainly bred for the dirt by Bolt Dora, Lemon Drop Kidmare. I think the 7 could certainly be in here with a horse with the best maiden win on the resume. So what else we got in here? We got the 11, Atlantic Passage, the 7, and the 10, Romantic Dancer, one to consider in here as well. Claimed 2 starts back by Rick Dutrow. This horse has not been seen since January, but Dutrow off a layoff like this, probably worth taking a look at. Horse has been training up at Belmont, why they would come down here to run for a non-winner of 2 lifetime. Of course, the purse doesn't hurt at $58,000, but curious placement for this one. And Dutrow gets Irad Ortiz Jr. 3-1 in the morning line. I don't think I'd be too wild about taking the 3-1 on that particular runner, but the connection certainly would warrant a lot of respect. I think you definitely, for my sake in here, definitely want to use the 11 who I like, the 7 who I like. I mean, the 10 kind of if you're playing defensively, the 1, the 3 are other horses in here that might factor. The 1, Tempers Flies by Vacoma. These Vacomas are almost blind bets at Keeneland. Has 1 start over the track and 1, so I have no surprise whatsoever at the 1 wins. 3, Tis Purple. Maybe that one's a little bit of a stretch in here, but it has some speed for Steve Asmussen on the class drop. Won at Saratoga with the maiden breaker back in 2024 in restricted company. So there's a lot of different ways you can twist and turn in this particular spot. But again, I really feel good about the 11 and the 7, and probably the 1, Tempers Fly, would actually be the one that I would use as the next most likely winner, even though not picked to finish 3rd in this spot for me. So 11, 7, maybe the 1 in there. Of course, top picks in there for Tom and Scott. That's other further endorsement, I should say, for the 1's credentials there in race number 5. So hopefully that gets you through the pick 5 legs and you're celebrating and you're cashing a big one there. If your opinions are different than mine, fire away. That's what it's all about. But I think strategy-wise, I think you want to come up with at least 1 single. A race or 2 where you can afford to get a little deep always helps in a pick 5 situation, especially if you're trying to hit a big one. If you're trying to hit a big one and say, look, I want a life-changing score, I want a year maker, that kind of deal like that, you're going to have to beat favorites to do that first and foremost, and especially heavy favorites. And secondly, you're going to need some Bryces in there like we had today. You're going to need a couple big bangers. So 2 big bangers and beat like a heavy favorite along the way, you could start to look at 5- and 6-digit returns on a pick 5. So that's not out of the question. Again, find 2 prices you like, find 1 favorite that you think's really vulnerable and toss them, then try to build your ticket out that way. For 30, 35, 40 bucks, somewhere in that range, you can put together a pretty nice pick 5 ticket. And again, if you say, well, I don't bet $40 a race, consider that you're betting it over the first 5 races. Then save the rest of your budget for later in the card and play race by race later in the card. But I think it's worth an attack. 30, 40 bucks, even if you're a bit of a smaller player, put your budget towards that on this Friday card and take your shot. And if you don't hit it, at least you gave yourself a chance. That's the way I look at things. Let's go to race number 6 next up. Sixth on the card, we'll start the late pick 5. And as I mentioned, races 5 and 6 are both the same condition, essentially. Non-winners of 2 lifetime going 6 furlongs in the claiming ranks. Number 2, Cha-Ching, Cha-Ching is a morning line favorite that I'm not going to try to beat in this particular spot. Number 2, Cha-Ching, Cha-Ching for Eddie Keneally. Takes a big drop in class in here. Was pinch hit to start last time. That was a tough maiden race because coming off a nice maiden win, the horse was 11-1. So definitely some decent runners in that particular spot. The 2, Cha-Ching, Cha-Ching, has run really well over the track here at Keeneland back in the spring meet in April. Ran a good second, leading most of the way. Ben Curtis was up back then. Luis Saez now the rider, and Saez should have this one fairly into the race from the get-go. Going 6 furlongs, you don't want to get too far behind in these races. In terms of the speed in this race, probably the 6, Truth or Consequence, tries to go to the front in here. Who else goes to the front? I don't think there's another dead set front running speed horse. The rail horse Miss L might try to go. So I think at worst the 2 can get out there third and get into the mix. The race that this horse ran at Keeneland was able to actually make the lead last year in slower fractions. I don't think he's fast enough to make the front in this particular spot, but I think Cha-Ching, Cha-Ching can be pretty darn close and be set to pounce. The 4 late to the game, though, is the price shot in this. So we got the favorite on top, but the 4 late to the game is a horse who's 20-1 in the morning line. Robbie Medina trains him. Second start off the layoff. This horse made a nice improvement from the first to second career start, breaking the maiden at Oaklawn. Then went on the sidelines from February, came back in September with a nice rally, close to be 5th, only beaten a length in a Lowndes Company. Drops in class here, and Christian Torres rides second off the layoff. I think this is a really good form cycle for this particular horse. Ran good in the second career start. I'm going to give a shot to late to the game to make a late run in here and maybe get underneath in the exactas. So 2-4, the way I want to bet here in race number 6. The 1, Miss L, the other consideration in here. Usually runs a pretty good race, but kind of flat late on the back end and more of an underneath type finisher in most of her efforts. So I've got it 2, 4, and 1 in this particular spot. The 7, Trade Delta, top pick in here for, or Trade Data is top pick in here for Tom Lynch. Maybe his long shot play of the day. We'll see what he picks as his long shot play of the day. Again, tune in today at Keeneland or follow on at Keeneland Racing on Twitter, and Tom gives his long shot play of the day on race days as well. Let's move on now from the 6th, and we get to the 7th. Late pick 4 is going to start here. Also, second leg in the Keeneland Turf pick 3. Again, races 4, 7, and 9. All turf sprints will be part of the Keeneland Turf pick 3. This, too, is a maiden special, 2-year-olds on the turf, and a field of 10. Again, we've got a field of 10 in here. Wesley Ward, again, is on the outside looking in with the also eligible in here. She's on a roll, and so we look at the main body of this field in race number 7. It's the 9, Paris Twilight for Brendan Walsh, who looks to be a very solid favorite. I think there's some favorites here in some of the late races on the card where I think they look pretty solid on paper, and 9, Paris Twilight, is among those. Good effort in the career debut at Kentucky Downs, going a tough mile trip at first asking. The Walsh runner was bet solidly at 6-1 and ran up on the pace most of the way and then faded. The winner of that race, Imagination the Lady, came back to win the Jessamine Stakes. So she was in pretty darn good company. Paris Twilight comes out of a key race. Should be tough in here. 7-5 on the return maiden trip. Shortens up to 5.5. And again, showed speed in that debut at Kentucky Downs. Should be fast enough to handle the sprint trip in here. 7 is one to keep an eye on. Epic Lady Luck, another one. Brian Lynch trains this one coming off a Kentucky Downs race. Good second place finish last time out, going 6.5 at Kentucky Downs. Makes all the sense in the world. The Vacomas, as 2-year-olds, 3-year-olds have been running well. I would expect the 7, Epic Lady Luck, to come back and run another representative race. The 5, Got Gone, might be the first time starter to take a look at. Hit it a bomb. The sire, of course, upset the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf here at Keeneland in his racing days. But Got Game has worked both fast bullet workouts at the Thoroughbred Center across town in Lexington and at Keeneland proper here on the track at a gate work in 59-2 for this debut. John Ennis can get one ready to go. Statistically, not a great trainer first time out, but he's a good trainer, and he could get this horse ready to do a little damage. I don't know about win with Got Gone, but I certainly would think that the 9-7, the 2 experienced horses, look like the 2 main keys in this particular spot. Neither one are going to offer much big price in here, so maybe you're looking at a multi-race bet or you're trying to get one of the price horses underneath them in terms of the exotics. But again, field of 10. A lot of times in these turf sprints, I talk about a capacity field. I love the 3, 4, 5, the power posts. Not the case when we get below the 12 horse threshold. You get to 10, 9, 8, 7, these kind of field sizes. There's just a lot more real estate, and the posts don't become nearly as prevalent in the statistics at that point. Trip doesn't become quite as dicey in the 10 horse fields and the 9 horse fields as they do in the 12 horse fields. So I don't use any post position stats in a race like this to try to go after them. I think in this particular spot here that if the 11 draws in, you've got a player to consider with She's on a Roll. But number 9, Paris Twilight, should handle business here in race number 7. 9-7-5, I'll take it in that one to start the late pick 4. Second leg of the Keeneland Turf pick 3, you could potentially go too deep in that spot or single in here. If you look at the first leg of the Keeneland Turf pick 3, we talked about the 4 Beach Heist being a horse that we liked in that particular spot. Defina, one that you might consider for the Keeneland Turf pick 3 as well. Who else do we have in there? Lion Lake was certainly a consideration. 8, 3, and 2, probably at least that you want to go, and the 7 Miss Soothsayer. So first leg of the Keeneland Turf pick 3, you're probably 3 or 4 deep in this particular race. Maybe you want a single Paris Twilight in here, or go no deeper for sure than 2 with Epic Lady Luck, considering the $3 minimum on the Keeneland Turf pick 3. To the 8th race we go next up. 8th on the card, no new wagers starting in here. Maiden Special Weight Company, these are elders 3 and up, fillies and mares going 1 mile and a 16th. A field of 8, smaller field size in here. This might be a spot if you're playing the late pick 5 or the pick 6 where a little bit of narrowing perhaps. You got a field of 8 in here. Endorsed the 7 for Todd Pletcher is going to be a solid favorite, I think. 9-5 in the morning line on this one, and endorses by Curlin. Bred to go long, has been running mostly short at Saratoga. The one time they tried to go long with this horse in the second career start, the jock fell off coming out of the gate. I would expect Endorsed to be super strong here over this trip at 1 mile and a 16th. Bottom of the pedigree with the Silver Ghost, you kind of think, or Silver Deputy, you kind of think middle distance on the bottom. So there's some stamina with Curlin, but I don't think this horse is like 1 mile and an eighth, mile and a quarter type router. But at 1 mile and a 16th, you got that. I think there's enough there for Endorsed to stretch out around 2 turns. Led most of the way in that elbow start out of the Wilson Chute at Saratoga last time before being nabbed on the wire. Now a traditional 2-turn race will probably have a little bit slower pace, and potentially with the 16th pole finish line, that could be the saving grace for number 7, Endorsed. That's the runner to beat. Number 2, Absolute Humor, also one to consider in here. As we take a look at the picks across the grid, I think Endorsed is the top choice. Others are trying to beat Endorsed in here as the 9-5 morning line favorites. So maybe the price, and there's some skepticism on Endorsed, but I'll back him in this particular spot as the most likely winner. Number 2, Absolute Honor, is a horse who ran against Endorsed at Saratoga back in June. Couldn't run with him that day. Sprinting, stretched out in the last 2, and it's run pretty well on the front. Safi Joseph had a nice winner today for the Ramsey family here at Keeneland. Joseph will look for back-to-back winning days. This one's by Nyquist. I think Absolute Honor, the 2 by Nyquist. Certainly, we know these Nyquist run really well over the track at Keeneland, and Nyquist himself, of course, won a Breeders' Cup Juvenile here. But I think the 7 and the 2 are both logicals in this particular spot. The 3, Indict, maybe playable. Didn't get much help at Horseshoe Indianapolis in the career debut in terms of the pace. Very slow pace, 6 furlongs and 112 that day. Did rally and pass some to run second. My question about that race is it was an off-the-turf event. So how many of those horses were really main track types in there? How good was that race? A lot of times the off-the-turf races are kind of suspect in their quality. So I'm just sitting on the 7-2 in this particular spot. I won't go any deeper than that. But the 5, Delicious Diva, top pick in here for Kim. The 6, Bodacious Beauty, top pick in here for Tom. 20-1 in the morning line on Bodacious Beauty for Tom. I think I smell Tom's long shot play of the day, right? I can't imagine he'll go with anybody else. Be sure to tune in to find out why he is on the 6, Bodacious Beauty, in this spot. I'll just say it's 7-2. I know it's not very creative, but I'm not going to get beyond those 2. Maybe Tom's got a better opinion than I do. Check out what he has to say there in race number 8. Let's move on to the 9th race on the card on this Friday program. And I've got one of my key plays of the day coming up in races 9 and 10. Looking forward to these spots here in races 9 and 10 to close up with some key plays. 5.5 furlong turf sprint in race number 9. It's going to wrap up the Keeneland Turf Pick 3, final race of the Keeneland Turf Pick 3. And I'm going to be singling in this particular spot. We mentioned maybe going too deep in the middle leg, getting a little bit of coverage in the first leg of the Keeneland Turf Pick 3. I think this is an extremely hot pace in this race, and I think it's going to set up for the finishing kick of number 8, Smoky Smoky. by Mendelson. Should like the turf here at Keeneland. First time over the turf. Mike Maker, we talk about his success week number 3 and saving horses for later in the meet. This horse is a stakes winner going turf sprinting at Aqueduct in the Paradise Creek last year. First start of the year. I don't mind a layoff horse in a turf sprint. They don't have to be fit. They just got to be sharp. I think this horse can come back fresh and be really strong. And a horse ran a good debut race in the career debut. So we can fire fresh with a horse like this. Smoky is going to be my top choice in race number 9 and one of my key plays on the card. Also top pick in here for Tom and Attaché's top pick for Scott and Kim. I've got an 8, 9, and 3 Surf Cities 15-1. Another Mendelson late runner in here. I mean, there's just speed everywhere. Everywhere I look in here, the one Butch's Best wants to go to the lead. The 4, 5, 6, 7 all have some semblance of speed. Some are need the lead type. Some want to be pressing, and they're all drawn right next to each other. I just think they lock up and hook up in the middle of the field here. So the ones going from the rail, the 4, 5, 6, 7, any 2 or 3 of those 4 that come firing out of there are going to help set this race up for a closer. I've got the 8 and the 9, 2 sons or daughters of Mendelson from Off the Pace. I should like the course with the 8. The 9 we know likes the course. Already a winner here in a Keeneland Turf Sprint and Allowance race back in April during the spring meet for trainer Vicky Oliver. So 8, 9, the way I'm going after this as a key play on the card for me. Number 3, Bergen. There's some respect there. A stakes winner on dirt. The races from Off the Pace have been pretty decent at Saratoga and Kentucky Downs. Should get the right kind of pace set up and save ground under Luis Saez. I will use the 3 underneath, but in terms of on top, I'm going to try to get one of these 2 Mendelsons, but I'm really leaning on the 8, Smoky, as my key play here. 8 over the 9-3, a little 9-8 turnaround, and a little 9-3. You know, it's kind of one of those key box type situations in here, but I definitely want to get the 8 Smoky on top, and as part of the exacta here in race number 9. That's my second key play on the card. To the 10th and final, we go to wrap things up on this Friday program at Keeneland. Starter Allowance Company in the Toyota Super High 5 race. Starter Allowance Sprinters going 7 furlongs in this particular spot. I'm on the 10. It's a Mike Maker late daily double. Incursion going to be my top choice in here. 3-1 in the morning line. This horse really fits the conditions. It's for horses who have started for 30,000 or less and have never won 3 lifetime. This horse showed up for 30,000 one time, rolled by 5 lengths, has won since then. Incursion's got a good late running style where the 7 furlong distance looks like it'll just be perfect for this son of Run Happy. Again, fits the conditions. It's Tyler. It's Mike Maker. It's Maker in week 3. We're expecting him to have success this time of the meet than he has so far this week. Give me Incursion all day and at the end of the day to wrap things up. So a Maker daily double, Smoky in the 9th to Incursion in the 10th. A little double with the 9 Surf City in the 9th to the 10 Incursion. I'm just going 1 on top here. This is a straight up single for me to wrap up the program. 10 on top, 9-1 underneath. Top pick for Kim as well is the 10 Incursion. The 6 Nation, the 1 Suited and Booted. Top choices in here for Tom and Scott. I've got the 1 Suited and Booted as my third choice. 10, 11, 1, the way I'm going to wrap it up, but I'm all in on the 10. I want all my multi-race wagers to end of that one in the finale. I wish that horse and my confidence in the last race was the 5th race on the card, because then we could get to a single to end the early pick 5 and that big carryover. But that's the way they line up. And that's why you handicap ahead and look at the different wagers and the scenarios and what your opinions might be on a particular program. Had that carryover been a late pick 5 carryover, I'm probably getting way more aggressive on my ticket and going after it. The early pick 5, on the other hand, these are some tough races, and I think we're going to need to use a little coverage to get through them. Good luck to you playing on that early pick 5. I'll be back tomorrow morning and give an update on social media right here on X with the at Keeneland Racing feed and also the Horse Player Now feed, and also update you on Substack tomorrow morning. Be sure to sign up for the free publishing software Substack. I'll send an email directly to you tomorrow around the 11, 12 o'clock hour after scratches come out, and we'll give you the final thoughts on the card in written form and any updated picks that I have after scratches with the Friday program. First post is at 1 o'clock, so we'll get that out to you again somewhere around the 11 to 12 o'clock hour and get you set up for a big day at Keeneland. Be sure to join me tomorrow night, 8:30 Eastern, when we preview the Saturday card at Keeneland. What a Saturday we got lined up. 2 graded stakes races, 4 to 3-year-olds. We got the Perryville Stakes. We got the Raven Run. We've got horses coming from California, from Florida, from all over the country, New York. Some really good shippers coming in for both of those 3-year-old sprint stakes. We'll preview that Saturday card tomorrow night, 8:30 Eastern on the Friday night show. Day 11 of 17 at Keeneland coming up. $250,000 carryover in the early pick 5. Good luck, everybody. We'll talk to you tomorrow.